Good morning, everybody. When our guests come, could everybody please stand? And everybody can be seated once our guests sit down. And please turn your phones off. Make sure they don't buzz so that we can have a disturbance-free event. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this gathering, Amrit Kaal Vimarsh Viksit Bharat at 2047, a development dialogue at IIM Kozhikode's iconic Gurukul classroom. Today, we have with us Professor Prasadh Krishna, Director of NIT Calicut, as well as our very own Director, Professor Debashis Chatterjee. Welcome, dear sirs. This iconic place, IIM Kozhikode's Gurukul, is an experiment in open learning and uninhibited thinking. The institute has always prided itself in introducing concepts which challenge and invoke the learner to go beyond contemporary methods of learning and pursuing knowledge. By means of creating this Gurukul in the renowned IIM Kozhikode campus, we have attempted to put together a free and holistic space for an unhindered exchange of ideas for the next generation of thought leaders. Today, we take the Gurukul discourse forward by having a conversation on globalizing Indian thought for achieving the dream of a developed India by 2047. As we begin our conversation, I would like to request our director, Professor Debashis Chatterjee, to formally welcome our guest with a bouquet. Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Professor Chatterjee to share a few lines on how IIM Kozhikode is globalizing Indian thought and our vision for 2047.
Let me start with 2047. We had the privilege of conceptualizing the idea of 2047 because it was the inflection point where 50 years of IIM Kozhikode converges with 100 years of independent India. And I had sent that coffee table book we produced in 10 years back to the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, who is now the Prime Minister of the country. And 2047 is now a national agenda. So it got cooked here, but it is going to have a nationwide impact. As you can see, ideas matter, and ideas matter more than ever before. Because when one idea mates with a million ideas or 1.4 billion ideas, then the configuration of ideas, this is one generation that is waking up to the fact that if a great idea is digitally dispersed, it can consume the whole world, right? It doesn't require 100 years to do that now. So the idea of globalization, not based on economic might or military prowess, the idea of globalization based on values has now come to stay. You recognize this everywhere. You see, Cyprus is part of European Union, but its affiliation with Russia is with Russia. Hong Kong is almost part of mainland China. Its affiliation is with America and England. Rogue states admitting rogue states based on their values or disvalues or lack of it. So you can see values will become a very important issue, because if humanity has to survive, it has to survive on the foundation of shared values. Otherwise, there is no survival for the humankind. And we have reached a brink. So the idea of 2047 was conceptualized to see what should we stop doing so that we remain relevant to our world. If we start doing what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, what's happening between Israel and Hamas, if this is going to be the nature of reality, you can imagine our survival, your jobs, everything is at stake, right? For that, we need an orientation to the future so that we survive together and we co-survive with other species on Earth. So our three stated values, Satyam, Nityam, Purnam, very well thought out, and I can't tire of articulating this over and over again. Why Satyam? Because everything rests in reality. Without that, there is no existence, right? So you have to understand that you have to accept reality, acknowledge it, and then move from there. The second thing is Nityam, which is sustainability. We have to sustain the world order. And to sustain that, you need sustaining principles, sustaining values, sustaining power. That you have to acquire. Otherwise, it will not sustain. Nothing. Relationships are high. You know, a new generation tells me that my boyfriend is a high maintenance guy. So to start a relationship is easy, to sustain it is the difficult part, right? So sustaining power is required. And finally, fulfillment. What fulfills our need as a human being? And as I said, all of us, I'll take just 2 more minutes. We are a complex of body, mind, intellect. Right? You can see body, mind, intellect. Through body, you perceive the world. Through your senses, perceive the world. Through the mind, you have an emotional connect with your world, and through the intellect, you think about the world. Now, these dimensions of your experience, these three constitute your experience of life. But if the experience is clouded by your ego, the experience becomes unbearable after a point in time, because you know you cannot take your body beyond a certain time. Your emotions will not survive beyond a point in time. Your intellect will not be able to think the enormity of life that you are sitting here. In order to unleash who you are, your own reality, you have to go beyond your ego space. You have to look beyond your time. 2047, both of us may or may not be alive, but the world moves on. And if you have invested in that, we have invested something for life beyond my life, time beyond my time. That's how civilizations survive. If I decided with my death the world should end, there would be no world left for you. Right? So 2047 is a far-reaching vision that engulfs everything we do today in this institution. We are an institution for the future. And we must do our very best so that this planet on the brink of extinction, literally, can be revived. Our little bit has to be done. So on that note, I will hand it over to a more qualified, understated leader of NIT Calicut. He's the one who's changing the face of NIT Calicut in ways that we do not know much about. So the Ministry of Education told me, you must get a celebrity on campus to be able to deliver a talk on this and give the name of the celebrity. I said, see, we celebrate our teachers first before we do our parents. So he's my celebrity for you. And please give him a big hand. Thank you.
Thank you for your words, Director. I'm sure they will stay with us for a long time to come. Professor Prasadh Krishna, the director of NIT Calicut, he did his BTech in mechanical engineering from the National Institute of Technology, Karnataka, Surathkal, where he stood first in his department and received a gold medal for the same. He did his master's in mechanical engineering again from IIT Madras and won 2 silver medals for the same. Professor Prasad obtained his doctoral degree in manufacturing from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, USA, an internationally recognized center for excellence in manufacturing research. Professor Krishna has more than 37 years of professional experience in a variety of sectors, namely automobile manufacturing, precision machine tool design and development, metal casting, space research, and teaching a variety of courses in the field of manufacturing, design, and materials engineering. He is also the recipient of several honors and awards for academic brilliance and has published more than 120 articles published across various journals. He has supervised 10 PhDs and is currently guiding 5 PhD scholars. He is a member of various professional organizations like the ISTE, CSI, Institution of Engineers, besides representing India in the University Quality Assurance International Board of the Government of Dubai during 2008 to 2015, and the World Bank funded TEQIP coordinator of NITK during 2007 to 2014. He has served as the Dean, Alumni Affairs and International Relations from 2016 to 18, and a board member in various institutes, namely NIT Kurukshetra, NIT Jalandhar, SVNIT Surat, and SPA New Delhi. He served as the Department of Mechanical Engineering head during 2013 to 2015. Since 2018, he is working as a professor in the HAG scale in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Professor Krishna is also a heartfulness meditation trainer for spiritual practice under the Sehaj Marg system of simplified Raj Yoga. Thank you so much, sir. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you for that nice introduction. First of all, I am extremely grateful to Professor Chatterjee for giving me this opportunity to share what some of my thoughts. When she mentioned that I'm a heartfulness meditation trainer, I was just looking back my doctoral studies at University of Michigan. The Ann Arbor campus is primarily for the engineering program. So they have an arts and other campus, central campus, and the Dearborn, they have the industrial engineering campus. So I was in the engineering campus in Ann Arbor. That is where the transformation happened in my life. That is where I understood what is spirituality. What I was thinking is spirituality is connected with religion, our religious rituals, dogmas, philosophies, practices. And that when I got introduced to this Heartfulness Institute, today it is spread in 160 countries. It is a non-religious, purely spiritual organization which is serving humanity in 160 plus countries, absolutely free of charge. Our masters say spirituality cannot be commercialized. There cannot be. Can you find a value for spirituality? That I give meditation sittings, how much money it is worth it? If God is for sale, can God be for sale? So that is where the real learning happened for me. And of course, we have, the American PhD, some of you must be knowing from your friends, it is highly demanding. I have to write my quarterly reviews, proposals, coursework, then take care of my family was there, all kinds of pressures. Then you are in a different country. Your next test in a neighboring student is a German who doesn't speak English, then Russian, and then there are the great IIT, BTech sitting. I'm an a BTech from an NIT only. So you have these great brainy chaps. They'll never share how to solve a problem. In the US, they're not going to tell you, they'll say you have to use some fancy package. They're not going to tell you like Indians we do, this is a systematic procedure, how to log on, and all that nonsense they won't do. We have to learn from friends through collaborative learning, experiences, so a lot of things. So anyhow, thanks to heartfulness that I could cope up with even today. I'm able to talk to you, I strongly believe, because of my inner strength. That is where, ladies and gentlemen, if I was just going through that, what is that most significant contribution India has done, this great Bharat has done to humanity? What do you think is the most significant? It's not that, we are good in metallurgy, the copper metallurgy, or, silver and all that, or we were doing the first surgery, we were good in medicine, in surgery, or we were good in this economics, urban design, urban planning, governance. We have beautiful sewage systems and all that. All that is good. But that which can change the life of every person on this planet. What do you think is the most significant contribution India has made to the world? Any yoga? But then, it is a more. Do you understand what is yoga? Unfortunately, when you think of yoga, the so-called great, the what you call the gurus, the yoga gurus, how they make money in the Western world. That is not yoga. Yoga for sex also, tantric yoga. There's all kinds of pleasures, pursuit, whatnot. The purpose of yoga is beautifully codified by the modern scientist, a spiritual scientist, Patanjali, the sage Patanjali he's been. There were many yogic systems before sage wrote that classic Ashtanga Yoga, the Eightfold Path. So many systems. So he consolidated and this is the way the life should conduct so that you will reach the purpose of yoga, which is the ultimate union, yujyade yogaha. And what is that union? Is that, I will become some great saint, I will do that, I can do aham brahmasi, all that nonsense. I will be good in Sanskrit slokas, I can chant Quran or this, I am good in Rigveda and all that. What is the use of all that? Does it make a person change the self? Friends, God, what I have learned of late, of course, in my late 30s, God cannot be seen. God cannot be touched. Then how can you realize God? God in our own Shastra says, God is beyond the Indriyas. What is our life? Somebody wants to define our life. What is this life? Life is, of course, you can say it is a total period in terms of time, which Indians don't believe in that time. That is the greatness of this nation. God himself says, Aham Kalosmi. Time itself is created by the Supreme. But anyhow, simply, if you can put it, it is the time between my birth and death. That is a simple way. But what is life? Life is nothing but the sum total of my interactions, me and my environment. There I have my family, my plants, and all kinds of me and my environment, sum total of all interactions. And how do we interact with the environment? Through the Indriyas. And it is a contribution of India. It is not just what Westernisms are, the five senses. We have Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, and there are so many Indriyas. For the Westerners, they only think through the five senses. Anyhow, but that is what our interaction, that is what life is. But what our scripture says, Indriyatidam, that means the supreme, the ultimate is beyond the senses. Then how do you worship that ultimate? Can you go and do some offering, chant some shlokas, ring some bells, put some money in the hundi? It's all your guilty feeling. You are trying to escape from all that you have messed up by your thoughts, action, and reaction, and you want to come to some sadhu or priest and pay something, or you do like in the Christian tradition, you know, nothing will absolve you of the sin because you have, by your own thoughts, reaction, you have made this mess in your life and you are alone responsible, not your wife, not your parents. We have this, the profound statement of the Lord Jesus Christ, which says, blame not others, blame thyself. This is again a wisdom from this country. Everyone, I am weaving my destiny, not somebody else. We always say, why did I fail? Because of this professor. Or I didn't get the job of my expectation. Or I want to get to Ahmedabad IIM. I got only, Kozhikode. Our students have a lot of issues. Not true. Yes. No, we have this issue. Somebody say, sir, I just missed the IIT and I have to be with this NIT. And there also they're not happy. Sir, I wanted computer science. I got only mechanical. So what, friends? Does that make you a better human being? Does that grade matters? Which girl? See, when you look at how the girl selects her partner, look at that. Does she want a Hrithik Roshan? Very handsome. His life is miserable. Do you want a Bill Gates kind of person? Extremely rich. If somebody says if he throws a dollar bill, he cannot even pick up by the time he would have heard. That is a kind of. You ask Melinda, does she like a Bill Gates? There's no life for them. So it is not the wealth, not your health. You have six packs, abs, and all that doesn't make you a great. You ask that little girl, what kind of partner she wants. She is not fascinating. Of course, आजकल तो our friends, for selfie के लिए, ice cream के लिए, ये सब we are doing, but we are not very serious there in this relationship. When you really want a life partner, that lady knows what kind of person. That is that Laila Majnu kind of greatness. Laila and Majnu, it is not the beauty. It is the heart. It is the heart-to-heart connection, not your intellectual ability, not your handsome and all that. That you are from a great family, I'm a Brahmin, I'm from the royal family, so what? If you don't have a beautiful heart, magnanimous mind, you will not be like that lady. So friends, today, what are the issues our youngsters are facing? I remember, you may be knowing, in 2021, Miss Universe was an Indian woman, isn't it? I think Harnas Santhu, the Punjabi lady. She was asked this question, some of you may remember, what is the biggest problem the women of your country is facing, or I don't know, maybe for the world? You know what she answered? She answered saying that the women of the country, they lack self-confidence. Does that mean we are better? the men, in fact, you are better than us in confidence. Because, you know the reason? There is an example I'll tell you. I have learned from our spiritual organization. Our spiritual master is not like any, acharya like Jadha, Rudraksh, all this, so many nice girls, very car, or this, holding on them, charging money for every meditation, nothing like that. He's a simple, ordinary man, like kurta or pajama. If he's a Gujarati, his own attire he will wear. Kamalesh Patel. In fact, he is supposed to come here in IIM Kozhikode in one of the earlier conferences, but because of some here, always there is a virus, this Nipah or something. That time again, somebody advised him, of course, our media, that it is not wise to travel. So he could, others people came here, I remember. But definitely we should get Kamalesh Patel. He is also, I don't say because of Padma Bhushan, that is a different thing, I don't agree. But he is the person who is transforming the lives of many in the world. Now, what matters you understand? How this, see, you really ask, what is that matters in life? She says, we lack self-confidence. This executive, I'm just giving an example. One guy is a CEO of a company. He's having a lot of pressures. The turnover problem, portfolio he has to change. His products are not getting sold. Lot of recession in the market. So every day he comes on the dining table. He's very gloomy, moody. He's not taking food. So the wife keeps observing. She keeps telling, what is happening to you? So this guy is thinking, why the hell I should tell my company problem to this lady? What she knows. Like that, it kept on. After 1 month, one day this lady asked, Joseph, can you tell me, please? I find that you are not eating well these days. What's your problem? Can you please tell me? With great difficulty, finally, he decided to share his problem. You know, on the spot, spontaneously, this lady gave the solution. You know the debate in Shankaracharya's, who answered the question? The wife of that great saint. No, Shankaracharya had to go through several tests. Like that, like we have to undergo several tests before we get a good job, the spiritual masters have to undergo several tests before they reach certain level of spirituality, which means a level of consciousness. What in spiritual parlance means the highest level of consciousness. Infinite consciousness is the supreme. But our spectrum is different. If you look at this, which is a dormant or a particle, achara, it is having also consciousness, which is at the very lowest in the spectrum. Everything is spectrum. Sound is spectrum, light is spectrum, everything is spectrum. That is the way the creation is. Consciousness is also having a spectrum. So if you want to define God, infinite consciousness. And what is that consciousness? Swamiji has clearly told. Swami Vivekananda, the consciousness is nothing but a thin film of water between the sky of super consciousness and the vast ocean of subconsciousness. It's a thin layer. And what spiritual pursuit this country has given, practical, it's not just talking and writing in the books. This country has given, through the experience of the great rishis, what should be the process so that I can expand my consciousness, increase that. And that is the, I feel, it is not yoga, what we understand, the spirituality. And India is, and India will be always the spiritual capital of the world. The reason is, Indian civilization is known for what? Like you have so many civilizations. Indian civilization is known for knowledge. Jnana parampara. I created when I joined NIT Calicut, of course, thanks to a great visionary like Professor Chatterjee, you are all blessed to have such a leader, so much of transformation we can see. And the way our own heritage is being used in all walks of life. He has shown, even when I enter the campus, I get a different feeling. So that is what matters. The ambience you create, which is conducive for learning. You have that kind of, environment. We have seen only in Gurukul in the olden days, in Parnashalas, where the teacher and the taught sit together and learn. Sahana vavadu, sahana punaktu, sahaviryam karavavage. There is no distinction between the professor and this. That is a great tradition. India always listening, questioning, debating, both. Do we know? Unfortunately, because of the Western education, this Western education, why this is required? Because of the Industrial Revolution. All of you know. You must be having so many courses on that. Why our education model has changed to this way? Because too much of compartmentalization, silos. In our institute, I can tell you, electronics department, they don't talk with electrical department. There is electronics and every electrical, nothing can happen without semiconductors. But that is the way. Everybody is in their own silos. Thanks to this education policy, to some extent, we are trying to de-silo all this, have this holistic education. That is what, if you look at any rishis, any saint of our country, Western, if you talk scientific facts, you are persecuted by the religious leaders in the Western world. You have enough examples. I don't have to tell you. India always encourage this debate, discussions. Question the teacher. Sahana Bhavatu, Sahanau Punaktu. Let us prosper together. What a great tradition. Today, what happens? If anybody asks questions in the class, I'm not talking about the IIMs, they snub somehow. No, that is a foolish question. You try to, you don't even encourage the student. Of course, there are issues like in our class, one classroom is having 220 students in mechanical. So after I have joined, I divided into 4 sections now. I have made the class strength roughly 50. 40 is the right number. So anyway, we are not even allowing this listening. Now, after all this discussion, no, Bloom's taxonomy taste, no, Benjamin Bloom says, all this taxonomy of learning, pedagogy. Before Benjamin this Bloom, Shankaracharya told clearly, how do we learn anything? Sravana, I hear. Manana, then Nidithyasana. This is how one learns something. Unless you reflect upon, introspect upon, then you contemplate upon that knowledge, you are not going to get that knowledge. The knowledge is somebody else. It won't become your knowledge until and unless you reflect, introspect, and contemplate. That is why Nidithyasana. And later on came all this Bloom's taxonomy, at different level, mere remembering, understanding, synthesis to design to creative, all that came afterwards. But it is a shameful thing that we have to follow that. Whereas our great rishis, and if you look at the rishis, today we talk about, holistic education, holistic curriculum, outcome based and all that. We have also started Department of Education, Department of Arts and Humanities. We want students to do whatever they want. We want to learn drama, martial arts, Bharatnatyam. You pick up whatever you want. You have the big basket of elective courses. This is what I have done in the new curriculum revision. But if you look at any, unlike the Western, take any rishi, any saint, look at his sphere of activities. He's not just a spiritual aspirant. He is a painter, he can sing, he can dance, he is a great philosopher, and it's not just spirituality. He may be good in traditional medicine. So all these people were all-rounder. Somehow we lost that. That is what, friends, we need in the academies. We want the students, everybody is talented, we all know that, and let that bloom in these academies. But we have strongly compartmentalized this only. You can't even take this. You get a degree in electrical engineering. What it matters? A degree in electrical engineering. The corporate world is not looking for electrical engineer or a mechanical engineer. They want people who can deliver, who can solve the problem, who are flexible, adaptable. So what matters is your flexibility quotient or social quotient, adaptability quotient, and what all that happens, I want to put that one quotient, if you address, whether you talk about emotional quotient, spiritual, what, so many, happiness quotient, social quotient, adaptability quotient, your agility, all that in one quotient. And I want this to be the 18th SDG. I have been telling everywhere. You talk about 17, sustainability development goals. All these countries talk all this. We have shown, even in Kerala, how to sustain a beautiful ecosystem. Kerala, when we had lot of land, Sojan may be knowing, we used to have the conservation of ponds, reservoirs and forests in every house. Highly poisonous snakes will be moving. We do the Naga Puja and all. And of course, if you look at, youngsters think these are all myth, so superstitions. No. If at all, if you think, somebody has, last time we created a science and spirituality club. I was really wondering, is that a correct usage? If at all anything is more scientific, spirituality is the most scientific than the science itself. Because what science says no, tomorrow it says it is a wrong hypothesis. It's wrong, it will not work. You can see any phenomena. When they say, now you say somebody else did some other experiment elsewhere in the world and you say those theories are wrong. Spirituality is the only thing, it is eternal, Nitya Satyam. It is Purnam because it is holistic, experiential based. My spirituality belongs to me. I don't believe if any saint or any guru, my parents or any priest says. It is my belief because it is my experience. That's why, friends, God can be only experienced, not by the senses. And where can we experience God? Only in the core of our heart. Even Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, where am I? I am in the heart of every created being. Why do you spend money then going to Velangani, Tirupati, putting money? Ill-earned wealth only you will put in the hundi. Hard-earned money you serve the people, help the poor people. That is the best. Like Swamiji told very clearly. Because he experienced hunger. He experienced all this Vedic tradition, all the knowledge of Sanskrit slokas, no, does not make you a better human being. You are not helping when somebody is sick, somebody is hungry, somebody is under utter poverty. Where is your God? You have to see that divinity in the hearts of all this creation, not just human beings. I always tell why we create, this animal welfare club and all that, because we have deviated from our tradition. In our system, chara, achara, there is a spark of divinity. Then how can you hurt something? So why all this? So it's unfortunately this Kyoto Protocol, all sustainability meet, environmental missions and all that is all wasting money, sitting in five-star hotels, all these reports, meetings, nothing, nobody is serious. If you are serious, it will start from the individual. The individual has to transform. The change inside out. I always say change has to be inside out. Change at the self. Now, when today, if you ask, this Miss Santu was asked this question about lack of self-confidence, and we all know that, like that corporate CEO had the spontaneous solution from his dear wife. That is the beauty of these women. The women, they have, God has created, they have already the sixth sense. Why? They don't use decipher with all your intellectuals. They don't solve all the differential equations and all that and find the solution. Your quantitative methods and all that. Seldom it may not work. She gave a spontaneous solution because she used her heart like the mother knows while the child is crying, the father is snoring and sleeping. Late hours of the night, mother only knows why the baby is crying because she is connected with heart. Even now, you may be here in Calicut, you may be from different parts of the world. If you are sick, father may not know. Your mother will call, Bete, sab theek hai kar mein. How does she know that? What is that? It is only the heart-to-heart connection. That is where the importance of heart in every facets of life is the contribution of India, where the Lord himself says in the Gita, look for me in the heart, not in the mandir, masjid, all that. Why do you waste all that? And then relationship is the biggest problem all youngsters are facing, I'm sure. Boyfriend, girlfriend, father and parents and you, teachers and you. And when you go to corporate world, the boss and you, your colleagues and you, everybody, even with your pet and you see, all places we have this issue of relationship. And India has shown to the world how to deal with this complexity, more volatility, uncertainty, complex, ambiguous, more challenges coming, more viruses, pandemic, much more is going to come in the world. That is for sure. More wars, more greedy, this avarice, these religious clashes are bound to come in the world. There will be a lot of uncertainties, these young friends. But with all these challenges, In fact, I remember, Isaac Odysseus. He is a nuclear Holocaust survivor, one of the top 30 thought leaders in your management. He has been given the top award from the International Management Academy. He is born in 1937, if I remember. He must be 85. He comes to our ashram in Hyderabad very often. He plays accordion with his children. He comes. So we used to have our Indian classical and his son. You please see, Odysseus has created an Ichak Odysseus Institute in the world. And I'm sure some of you may be reading his. He talks about this compassionate leadership. He is a Columbia PhD, but then he has 21 honorary doctorates from 11 countries. He's a great person. He's a Jew, 85 years old. Still, he is active. He lectures in 4 languages and so. So, if you really look at Odysseus was telling the way, of course, he is advising Fortune 100 companies in 25 countries. He also tells the same. He is, of course, a heartfulness practitioner with us. The most important thing is when you are in doubt, you have a radar here. That is your heart. Look at your mother. Any number of guests comes at all time. And you have so many mathematical models how to address these uncertainties, challenges, disaster, risk reduction. Nothing will work, friends. N number of guests come, mother is able to make food for all of them. How does she do that? She uses her heart. That is what is important even in the corporate world. So, if you can manage yourself, for that you need an awareness of the self. Self-awareness will lead to self-management. That will lead to social awareness. That will build up relationship, and you will be successful in whether it is professional or personal. I think I will stop at this stage because we have to have the interactions. Questions and thing. Thank you, and I hope I have made some sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Krishna, for your words, for your very illuminating words. The floor is now open for any questions.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Professor, for reminding us what true spirituality is. My question would be, how do you think that the national education policy is promoting skill enhancement and shaping India's young minds for 2047?
See, unfortunately, when you look at skill, people think it is the professional skills, technical skills, managerial skills. Thanks to the policy, it has made a much broader perspective. It is not just social skills, financial skills, environmental skills, all the sustainability, all that are required in that skill development. So, Prime Minister's the Kaushal Vikas Yojana, under that scheme, just to continue with their policy framework, they have introduced selected institutions. So we are also participating under the, now it is 3.0 is now 4.0, the Prime Minister's, the Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So NIT Calicut is one of the hub where we'll be imparting not just technical or the professional skills like communication, other things. That is not, other things are important. See, for example, if you want to start your own startup, many times our engineering, especially the finance and business, whereas in the Western, the curriculum give more focus on business accounting, 30% of the curriculum. In India, it is very less. So thanks to NEP, now we are increasing that component. So the skill will have a different meaning now, not just professional and technical skills.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. Sir, while we are sitting here in Gurukul and talking about globalizing Indian thought, I was wondering, like, how can we, reduce the transactional nature of our current education system and make it more holistic? The complete learning process.
You are doing that now
Yes.
in a beautiful way. Um, See, the we unfortunately, I'm not saying students also think it is the grade that takes you, because campus placement you may not have that issues. See, there is a season of campus placement. You're cut off. Companies are also equally bad about that. Why that should be cut off? So, but I know each company has 6.5, 7. And if you are not in, and if, let's say, Professor Chatterjee got into Microsoft and I did not get, and I had a higher CGPA, then, all kind. I know my daughter had went through all that. She was also in NITK, computer science graduate, Suratkal. So she says, now she is crying. So my friends got, I didn't get. All this happened because our system is more CGPA driven. We have not given them, you have to be a strong individual. Whether you get here, you may get it outside the campus placement also. So that we are not, unfortunately, we think we learn only in this classroom. Majority of the learning happens outside the classroom. So for that, what we have to do now, we have created more assignments and discussions outside the classroom. That is why the advantage of a residential campus happens. You invite them to the labs and discuss many problems. It is not just technical. Then we have Friday colloquium where they bring their own different topic, not necessarily from the engineering or management domain. So those discussions will be better than this traditional transaction one to many. That is where.
I just, if you have you finished? Just wanted to add to what he's just said, and he's very right. It's not just about classroom protocols. I'll share with you a story. It's a real story. But before that, I wish somebody asked me today, this morning, did you have breakfast? Because moving from, I just got off the plane. The first meeting was with Mahatma Gandhi Fellows, and now going through that. Not had. If somebody asked me, did you have breakfast, before asking me, what is the next schedule, I would be very gratified because it will come from the heart. I had a student, his name was Satya. Let's not give his full name because he's a celebrity now. So Satya comes to my class and he's dozing off, just like that. So I looked at him, this is IIM Lucknow leadership course, right? And I said, Satya, what were you doing last night as a result of which you're dozing off now? He looked at me straight in the face and said, that's none of your business, sir. And the rest of the class is looking at me, wondering what the reaction of the professor would be. Because, Raklo is a bit of a control freak. So I didn't say anything. I just went about my business teaching. Then 5 minutes later, I would have told Satya something like this. Satya, it matters to me and the class, and it is my business, because where were you last night affects not just you, the whole class. It affects your professor. It affects this campus. It affects India, and it will affect the world when you become somebody. Satya has never forgotten that lesson. He was at the Harvard Business School based on my recommendation. And when we met at the Harvard Business School, he was about to start his major venture. He's a very successful name. He has affected the world better than what he would have done if I did not ask that question. So the nature of education is beyond whatever is happening in content processing. It's much beyond that. The more you realize that, more you recognize why Gurukuls had a whole lifestyle embedded in education, not just about the content vending in 30 contact hours. Then you'd get the picture, right? Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I will interject in a little bit. That's okay. Go ahead, please.
So it was great listening to you. And apologies for my phone ringing 2 times. But my question is that India is a culturally rich country. And how do you think that India, culturally rich country, India, and how do you think India's culture and ethics will contribute to this conflict-ridden world?
Conflict-ridden.
Yes.
Yes. See, um, I just want to ask you, we talk about, now the 9 universal human values, or say values, human values. Do you think there is an Indian value or a German value or a American value? Values are same everywhere. It is for all, isn't it? So these are the spiritual practices, what is followed in this country as a universality. That alone can address the ethics and morality in whatever, whether you are in the corporate or in your other life, personal life also. So whether you are the ethics and morality, India is showing the way, whether it is in business or this, because it is universality. The spiritual, we never distinguish whether a Brahmin is sitting or a German is sitting or anybody. The rishis or the great people, any spiritual teacher, a master, never distinguish based on any difference, because the moment you have differences, you are not anywhere close to the divine. When you come out of these dualities, differences, whether it is caste, creed, religion, sex, language, all that, then only it is. So, this, if you strengthen the inner world, that can solve all these conflicts. The conflict, what is happening, the Ukraine and Russia, all these are happening. It is all the ego of some persons. You can't blame the entire population. Poor women and children, they're all dying and suffering. But it is the ego of a few individuals. So if that individual is understand what is that he is doing, if he has that awareness, he may not have hurt the fellow human beings.
Interestingly, India's orientation to ethics, it is not considered a particularly ethical country in the world order in terms of transactions. However, the interesting thing is India's commitment to ethics happens even in the most unethical of circumstances. I'll give you 2 examples. One comes from Haryana. Bunch of farmers wrote straight to the Prime Minister saying that there's a lot of corruption in distribution of funds for panchayat. Problem is the bribes that are due to everybody is not equitably distributed. So even if you distribute bribes, there's an ethical component. Chori ka mal. So you see, thieves actually go and worship the Kali before they go out for theft. Because they have a reference point that mujhe chori karna hai, lekin dharm se chori karna hai. So it is implicit in the normal Indian. I'm talking about a student. I gave one person A minus, the other got B plus. He says, sir, how can he get B plus and I get A minus? I copied from the book, he copied from me. Original copy maine kiya. How can I get less than him? Right? So the question is that there is a sense of equity, that fine balance. Even if you're doing chori, there's a fine balance. And this will not occur to a lot of people. A book falling down, you pick the book and pick up on your head. This used to be our habit when we were growing up, because the book falling down is not a book that is falling down. It is that it is something that transcends us. We may not be equal to it fully, but we have reverence for it. We have reverence for equity, and you will see this in all strata of Indian society. I had this auto driver who had given $3 in Calcutta to catch the bus goes to Joka, IIM Calcutta, where I started my career. And so this guy, I said, "Yo bus pakadna hai, jara jaldi chalo." So he's driving the auto, and the fee of the auto rickshaws are actually, the fare is actually mapped. 2 rupees from this to this, 3 rupees from this to this. So I give a 5 rupee coin, he's got me into the bus, and he's chasing the bus to return my $2. Can you imagine that? A professional doing that in the highest office of India. So if you look for ethics, you please go down a little bit and you realize that most of India is ethical. Otherwise, you would not have this country, despite all the terrible things happening in this country. It survives on the basis of a sustained and sustaining value system, which even pervades the most corrupt professionals. And this is something I've discovered for myself. I thought I'll share my 2 bits of wisdom. Thank you. Yeah, next question. We have to wind up. There's a next class from 12:15. By 12:10 we should finish it, right? 12:15 is the class? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
As you have wonderfully mentioned about spiritually and globalizing Indian thought, could you please share any instances or example from NIT Calicut which has contributed towards globalizing Indian thought?
So that is what I just mentioned. We have changed the curriculum now. Right now, the old curriculum from the new academic year, it is a reasonably holistic we have made, so that they don't have to, the elective courses, especially the global electives, they can choose anything, not necessarily from the engineering, even other branches. See, that is always there. So there's major, minor, etc. Somebody missed getting computer science, but he can do a minor in computer science even if he is a civil engineer. So that, and they can leave 1 year and they can do some startup. They can pursue internship or research in a company, India or abroad, or in a research institute, India or abroad. They can exit for 1 year and then they can come back and do the credits later. So those kind of flexibility we have introduced, other than creating this Center for Arts and Culture, Center for Indian Knowledge System, many things we have created. We have pooled the resources. See, most of our faculty are talented in many spheres of life, not just, we are thinking he is good in electronics or quantum computing or in robotics or IoT, but there is talent. They have, everybody, human being, a different, so that we are able to pull together and creating such multidisciplinary centers. So that will, we hope we will have, and student ambassadors are there in each of the centers. They are driving this show, and we are getting the people from all walks of life to discuss with them, take some projects for the socially relevant projects, etc. Not just only engineering style. So we hope that will give them a holistic view of the entire learning.
Hi, sir. Under Viksit Bharat 2047, the government is set to finalize a draft roadmap for India to become a 30 trillion economy in the next 2 decades for a projected population of 1.65 billion. So, according to you, sir, do you think poverty and population will still be a major challenge for India at 2047 as well?
See, this is really a very, do you know our food production? India is, whether it is milk or any of the our food grains, we are exporting to other countries now, even milk, everything. So, in spite of all that, even today, even with 1.4 billion people, still there is poverty and there is still somebody hungry. Is it because of what? So you may put all this Viksit Bharat, all that nice document. I always believe unless the change comes from each individual, no, there is no panacea for all this. It has to come from within, and then only. So only a spiritual enlightenment by a great leader only can solve the problem. You can write all that. Still, there will be more poverty, more such of. See, because you have all the resources in this great country, but are we? If you just look at, if people are dying of hunger and you throw in a birthday party in a five-star hotel, you can see how much food is wasted. We are at least bothered about that because we don't have concern for the other, or we are not exposed to such a situation. Like when Lord Buddha realized, he left that. But that is not the solution. You can't just leave everything. You have to make sure that change happens. You are able to help others, and unless there is a spiritual transformation among these countrymen, which is what our strength is, these problems will continue to be there. Population is, of course, you can't just blame population for everything. It's a strength for the country. This young population is a great strength because this will serve the needs of the entire world. The demographic dividend, what these, our democracy, all these values are a great strength. So one should not be afraid of all this. It is good. It's a strength for the country. But as Professor Chatterjee mentioned, if you continue to have this corruption, whatever you do, we have lot of digital infrastructure, transformation is happening, less and less, more transparency through digital infrastructure, it will reduce. Then only, but the change has to come from each individual, then only society can change. That's what I believe.
Thank you, sir.
The just a little addendum, the nature of poverty, if you look at the demographic of poverty, it comes because of an inherent tendency. Tendency is called karpanya in the classical language, kripan. See, Arjuna is called kripan by, karpanya is, miser. So Krishna is talking about Arjuna. He says, look, you are a miser. Well, he's not a miser. He's endowed with so much of capability. How come he's a miser? Miser not in terms of money or accumulating money. Miser in terms of sharing with yourself what you already have. You go and get into a flight. Those days I remember, there used to be Sahara flights, and there's this person who's sitting next to me, and there's a kid sitting on the aisle. The person is sitting in the middle. I've got the window seat. So three different people there used to be a bunch of chocolates. This Air India or Sahara. They used to have these Imli things and chocolates. So chocolates are given. The person in the middle, who must be a billionaire, looking at the number of rings that you see, diamonds on his hand, he grabs the entire lot of it and puts it in the pocket. And I see the kid looking at him as to whether he can get one or two out of that. This is miser. You get into a AC first class train, you have a ticket, all right, but you're still pushing 20 people to get there. You have a designated seat. Come on, nobody can grab it from you. But the need to grab before others can grab, and then to waste it without even sharing, knowing how to share it. This is the basis of Indian poverty. This is the nature of our poverty. Because we are colonized in the mind. Our parental script was there is not enough. And the result is that it is never enough. You see a multi-billionaire, even for him, he has to grab monopoly. And sharing happens only sporadically. It's not a culture. And this is where we have to bring back the ancient, extraordinary. I was with an Australian High Commissioner, and he was asking this question as to what can India learn, Australia learn from Indian education? What should Australians keep in mind when they're looking at Indian higher education? I said, you have to keep in mind that you have to respect Indians first. Otherwise, we will do our education, we'll do to your education what Indian cricket has done to Australian cricket. We'll beat you hollow. He said, how come? I said, see, the very idea of India is based not on national boundary. We are world, we are the world. We think we are the world, and we believe because 1.5 billion people, how can you not be the world? Okay. And so he said, how about Indian? I said, look, when our farmers produced crop in this country, there was always a part of the crop kept for pests, dedicated to pests. There were no pesticides. There was part of the crop. That is the reason we had sustainable agriculture. Look at your own solutions, what you've done to our planet Earth. America is going to go barren in no time because the agricultural land has been destroyed beyond. Because the idea of a pest did not even occur to them because you had to share. You're bound to with all. There were no human rights, there were living rights. Human rights is an invention of the Western mind. And you see what has happened as a result of human rights. What has happened to the planet. Okay, I would rest my case here. So poverty in India is largely man-made. It is not nature's. Correct. It is man-made, mind-made. Our minds have been educated in a very wrong way, and we need to change that. Yes. Last question, maybe. Yes. One more. There are more than one? One or two? Yeah. Ask it to sir.
Hello, sir. We are honored to be part of this session. So I have a couple of questions. Firstly, as India is facing twin challenge of climate change and low carbon growth, Yeah, as I said in the speech, at the individualistic level, yeah, it is the self-consciousness that is most important. But if we consider educational institutions, how can we proceed forward to support the vision of this emissions-free country for our future? And my second question is, we have these long-drawn debates about the Western countries and the Eastern countries, or the developing or the non-developing countries, about the pollution levels in the world. Like the Western countries have been forward in the initial stages where they have taken the advantage of industrial revolution and they have polluted more. And right now we are at the situation of facing the brunt of the carbon dioxide emissions that we are at this present situation. And at these international platforms like UNFCCC COP or the Kyoto Protocol, as you mentioned, and the Nagoya protocols, etc., we have been debating about how to go forward, but the pace of this coming up with solutions and application is actually very low. So how do you think that we can go forward so that the proliferation of the spirituality along with the scientific advancements can go forward so that we can be in the good terms?
I'll be, because of paucity of time, I'll be very brief. The problem, whatever you have mentioned, the carbon neutrality, zero waste, and all that, even all this sustainability dialogues happening, we are not serious. None of these countries are serious. Basically, we should understand. We are only interested in these meeting reports and all. When I was secretary in, in Delhi, I'll tell you, there were 200 reports on revamping technical education, this committee, UR Rao, Anandakrishnan committee. I was trying to find space for in my cupboards, Whoever comes, directors, I used to share the copy. Please read. Nobody is reading these reports. So, but it is not the air pollution, water pollution, or ground pollution. It is the pollution. The biggest pollution is thought pollution. So, as Professor Chatterjee, it's all in the mind. If I'm an entrepreneur, if I have a CEO of a company, will I discharge the poisonous effluents, even having arsenic, to the public drain? Will I do that? If you have any sense of belonging or humanness, if you are called human beings, jisko man hai o manush. If you have bit of humanness, will you do that? Will you pollute? The young child is asking, Grandpa, why are you planting a mango sapling? You will never be there alive to enjoy that fruits. That is our tradition. Nobody need to do. Now you have to say massive forestation, you do this or all that. We have been doing that everywhere. Every Indian villagers know these plants are important. In fact, I will tell you, now it is scientifically proven. If you are emotionally blackout, best thing is to hug a tree. Just hug a tree and the tree will absorb all your worries. Now, Japanese, they talk about, what is that, forest bathing, ikigai. People are spending money in Tokyo City. Last week I was there to go through that forest bathing. A lot of money there. Indians knew that. You sit your back onto a tree and sit there quietly. You will create all that. All problems will be solved. No worries, nothing. The poor tree will absorb all that. So once this awareness goes, all this, nobody is serious. That's all this. Even we are really ashamed. I am really ashamed of our NIT Calicut campus also. We are giving the waste to somebody else. So now discussions are going to have a comprehensive zero waste. Zero is not possible, but near zero. We are trying to do that. There is a lot of resources in that waste. We'll have to do it. If we don't do, technically qualified people, we have to help. In fact, the panchayat is asking us to take care of the waste of other. The additional secretary had come and we are going to address that. I feel it is our obligation. We will address that. Only thing, we should have the mindset, attitude, that's all. We have the knowledge, we know the system, everybody knows what to do for all this problem of climate. See, nature has its own way, but there may be tsunami or earthquake, or nature is not punishing anyone. It is a wrong word that nature punishes. Nature only respond to the human greed, that's all. It is a simple response, then all this will happen. Unless people change, as Professor Chatterjee mentioned, in a humanitarian way, nature will be always willing to help. So conduct a life in tune with nature, that will solve all problems. Thank you. I think there's not much time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, everyone, for taking the discourse around India at 2047 forward. Thank you to Professor Krishna and Professor Chatterjee for taking the time out and sharing your wealth of experience and knowledge with us. We walk away from IIM Gurukul with learnings that will last a lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor, if I may, would just add a word that Professor Krishna has a lot more to say. This is just a short, he would love interaction with you guys. And so at any point in time you think that you want another conversation, feel free to invite him. It'll be, and he says he enjoys being here. That's what he's saying. So I appreciate your time. We have an applause that is really resounding. So let's send him off with that.